Numero uno is why. What is the reason that you are buying a boat? Is it for family day trips? Is it for fishing, recreational, water sports? Are you buying a boat for the right reasons? A lot of people buy the boat because in some cases it can be ego, and I strongly advise against that. Number two is your budget. This is the biggest mistake that most boat buyers make when buying their first boat. So when taking into consideration your budget, the critical mistake that people make is they don't think about the actual running cost of the boat. They only think about the initial purchase price of the boat. This can slip a lot of people's minds, and people don't realize the true cost of buying a boat, because in most cases the running costs that are told to you are the bare minimum, because in general your sales broker wants to make the sale and wants to make their commission. So they're going to tell you the bare minimum running costs of that boat. What they won't include in the running cost is potential breakdowns, equipment failure, possible mechanical or electrical failure, which happens to all boats. There's always things going wrong with boats. So when they give you the budget, they don't normally include that. So other things to include as well within the budget is annual running costs, so your maintenance, your berthing fees, things like insurance, annual hauling out, which means lifting the boat out of the water, cleaning the underside of the hull, and applying fresh coats of anti-foul unless you're keeping your boat on a trailer at home. If you're on a bigger boat or you have crew, have you taken consideration annual salaries of the crew? If you're on a bigger boat, you may need management companies as well. So there's lots of things to take consideration when thinking about the budget of the boat. Whenever you think it's going to be a certain cost, it's always more. It's more than you think it's going to be. Just accept that. I'd like to thank Surfshark VPN for sponsoring today's video. Surfshark VPN keeps your online identity safe by encrypting all of the information sent between your device and the internet. This keeps your personal data protected from big companies or cyber criminals. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in 65 different countries. Did you know that airlines and hotels use different pricing for different countries? Use Surfshark to make websites think you're in another country and you might come across a cheaper holiday deal. A VPN encrypts your online data and helps to secure your personal information when you use free public Wi-Fi, like in airports, which can be a goldmine for hackers. Be sure to use our code SYC to get 83% off, plus 3 extra months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out. So be sure to use our link in the description box below. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Number 3 is you need to work out where are you going to keep your boat. If you think you're going to keep it in a local marina, what I suggest you do before buying your boat is going down to the marina and speaking to the harbour master to see if there are berths available. In a lot of ports there are waiting lists, and these waiting lists can go on for years and years and years. So make sure that wherever you want to keep your boat, you've already spoken to the harbour master. With that, the other thing to bear in mind is when you're using the boat, you more than likely will keep it in the water, but you got to think about where you're going to keep the boat when you're not using it. If you plan on just using it over the summer months and keeping it in the water during the winter, who's going to maintain the boat in the winter? Who's going to go down and check it and make sure the bilges are nice and dry? Run the engines, once every 2-3 weeks? Test the steering's working, check all the systems are working. You can't just leave a boat in the water unattended for an entire winter. The other thing you might want to do is take the boat out of the water and put it into dry storage, which I recommend, which comes with additional costs because you'll need to flush the engines with fresh water, service everything, clean the underside, and find storage availability for a boat of your size. Number 4 is how many weeks a year are you realistically going to be able to use the boat? Because life does happen. We do get busy in our lives with our families and possibly doing other things. So really think about that one, because it might not make financial sense to have a boat if you're using it for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of the year. So that's a very important one to think about. A lot of boat owners have this idea they're going to use the boat for the entire summer, but sadly in a lot of cases that doesn't actually happen. So think about that. What is your boat history before buying your first boat? have you spent a lot of time on the water, or maybe friend's boat or family member's boat, or possibly chartering boats? Do you get seasick? You know, a lot of boat owners buy boats and they find out that maybe their kids or their wives or their husbands get a bit seasick and then get put off the boat. So they bought this asset, spent a lot of money, and turns out their family don't want to be on board because they get ill, seasick, or just don't like the sea. So what I suggest in that case is, if you haven't got any prior boating experience, is possibly chartering a boat first or renting a boat. If you're looking for, you know, a bigger boat, say 60, 70 foot plus, possibly chartering that with crew for a week, 2 weeks, get itineraries together, bring your family on board, and that could be your trial to see whether or not yachting or boating is for you. Because in a lot of cases, you know, it might not be for you. So by chartering, you know, by the end of the week or 2 weeks, you step off the boat, you've got no additional responsibilities if you decide that you don't like it. At least that way, your expectations are matched when you do go and buy your first boat. The other benefit of chartering is you know what the cost is going to be. Okay, so you agree the charter price, you put down what we call the APA, which is the Advanced Provisioning Allowance, and you know by the end of your holiday, that's going to be the cost of your holiday, and that's that. Whereas with boat ownership, if you have catastrophic engine failure, or you know, one of the main electrical or mechanical components fails, that's going to cost you a lot of money, which is an unforeseen cost. Understand the boat's history, so previous owners, the service history. You want to understand where the boat has been kept in its life. Has it always been in the water? Has it been kept in the shed? What conditions is it in? Has it been in cold conditions? Has it been in warm conditions? If it's been in cold conditions, you run risk of potentially having fractures in water tanks and might have frozen. You want to check for osmosis. So with that, make sure you find yourself a very good surveyor. Do not skimp on the survey, okay? And I also stress, which doesn't happen enough, make sure you do oil analysis on your gearboxes and your main engines and your generators, and get the feedback from your surveyor on that oil analysis report. I would also recommend, as part of the survey, is sometimes they get a diver down to check, to inspect the hull. I always prefer to have the boat lifted out of the water. There you get better visibility, because sometimes when the divers go down, the water can be murky and the visibility is a bit restricted. By hauling the boat out of the water, you can physically see the boat in dry condition. You can check for, you know, any damages, any potential stress fractures, any issue with the drive system, whether it be stern drives or shaft drives or IPS drives, whatever it might be. You can physically see it and inspect it. Really think about who will look after the boat. Because the reality is, a lot of owners say I'll go down once or twice a week to go and check on the boat, and in a lot of cases that doesn't happen. So I would recommend having someone local in the marina to go and check on the boat, you know, weekly, to run the system, start it up, check the bilges. Normally the harbour master will recommend somebody, or there'll be a local small shipyard. They'll have people there that can help you out, and yes, that will be an additional cost. And this is a bonus one for you guys, is when you're buying things for your boat, whether it be parts, things like lines, fenders, covers, whatever it might be, ship chandlers are very expensive. In a lot of cases, you can find the same or similar products online for a fraction of the price. The reason they do that is ship chandlers is they see boats, and boat owners, you know, tend to have money to spend, so they think they can whack up the prices. So we always look online, whether it be Amazon. There are actually online ship chandlers, which in a lot of cases are cheaper than the physical ship chandlers. So be sure you're checking all the prices to keep your total cost down. So that's it, guys. That's my 9 bits of advice. If you're an existing boat owner, let us know in the comments box below what additional advice you would give to new potential boat buyers. I'm sure they would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.